We're back.
We are back.
Episode number 30, Max. Number 30.
What were you just calling it, Dad?
It's a Steph Curry episode, guys.
It is the Steph Curry episode. Although Steph is not on the pod just yet, it is our 30th episode.
That was a little bit of a teaser, wasn't it?
A little bit of a teaser. I'm not going to rule it out. Not going to rule it out.
No, I think we have to wait for the finals to be over to approach him. I think he's concentrating more on his basketball now than lining up our podcast.
Right. It's understandable.
But episode 30 for season 2.
Episode 30, and it is worthy of the Steph Curry number. It is with Raheem Taylor-Parkes, a good friend of mine. We're going to talk about Raheem in a second. It's been a while since we've been on the pod. It's been about a month since we've released an episode, and the people have been asking what's up.
Well, what's up is that we've both been busy. You've been really busy. I've sort of been my normal busy, but you've been your abnormal busy.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on, personal, business, soccer, everything. And we want to update you guys more in depth than just this intro. So we're going to record a mailbag episode this week. So stay tuned on socials for ways to ask questions, or just stay tuned for a new episode coming out soon where we update you guys on what's been going on the last month. But we do have a great episode to release this week, and the timing is perfect because Raheem is about to host an event on June 18th in Miami for a company that he's founded, Hyphenate Creative Co. And talk a little bit about Raheem. He is a 24-year-old now entrepreneur who I have dubbed the most tapped in person in American soccer culture right now.
Yeah. I didn't realize that when I do my research before pod, I try to find out as much as I can about our guests.
Right. And you do a great job.
Well, thank you. No, but
great job.
But I didn't have a sense as to how deep he is in terms of the soccer American culture world.
Yeah. Just to give you guys a sneak peek before you hear it from himself. But as mentioned, Raheem is now an entrepreneur. He was born in Canada and raised somewhat in between Canada and Florida. He played in multiple youth academies growing up. He bounced around playing for the Philadelphia Union, played for the Canada Youth National Team, American Youth National Team, ended up going to Virginia for a couple years of college, and then pursued playing professionally in Switzerland and what was the other country? Denmark. Eventually came back, returned to Oregon State, where he finished off his eligibility. And instead of pursuing a professional career full time, which I'm very confident he could have, he decided to take a different route. And we talk about some of the reasons why and the story that's very impactful of why he decided to go on his own in a business sense. And now he's doing some amazing things, connecting the dots. He's one of the most personable people I've ever met, and you guys will see and hear very soon why. But he's tapped in with the biggest names in U.S. soccer that are making waves overseas and domestically. And he's connecting dots, hosting events like this one that's coming up in Miami on June 18th, which you guys should check out on behalf of Hyphenate Creative Co., which is something that he founded himself at just 24 years old, which is super dope.
And I love the name Hyphenate because it shows that people are not one dimensional. Hyphenate, your X hyphenate Y hyphenate Z, and he's definitely a hyphenate.
Yeah,
right. He's into fashion, he's into art, he's into sports, he's into connecting all three of those.
Yeah,
fascinating guy.
Yeah, and that's that's one of the reasons why we had him on the show. That's a theme that we have on the show. That's something that I kind of pride myself as being as a hyphenate, not just an athlete, but a lot of these other things, including a podcast host.
Yes.
It really was just a joy to hear about his story, how he's got to where he is now, and so cool to hear about his aspirations of where he sees this going.
Yeah, what struck me about Raheem, and we'll let you figure this out for yourself or find this out for yourself, but he's a guy that doesn't believe in no. He just goes for it, right? He doesn't know about his limits or his boundaries. Young guy, right? 24, like you said,
24,
but not afraid to just go for it. Ask folks to get involved in his projects. Not afraid to embark on projects where he hasn't gone on before.
Yeah,
which I really admire about him. Just doesn't believe in boundaries.
Yeah, and doing some of these things for amazing reasons. A couple of his recent events and this one coming up, a lot of the focus is on mental health and just spreading awareness of talking about that. We've talked about on the podcast, and that's something that we believe in amplifying, and Raheem is doing a great job of doing that as well. So without further ado, let's get to the episode. Check out Raheem's event coming up June 18th on behalf of Hyphenate Creative Co. And let's get to the Steph Curry episode 30.
Episode 30, Marathon Minute.
With my guy Raheem. Let's go.
Can you hear me?
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, that was that was us. That was our technical difficulties. Wow.
It's called turning up the volume.
Yeah.
I got these
come
old
on,
school.
you gotta-
I got these old school headphones on, so I'm like, oh, it might be me.
No,
No,
your audio is coming in super crispy.
Oh, okay. I love it.
That's on us.
Yeah.
That's on us, bro. What up, man?
What's
Welcome,
up, man? How's the Orange Still
Welcome to the
family
show.
doing, man?
Wait, formal introductions. Raheem, this is my dad, Michael.
Hey,
Nice to
Raheem.
meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you, Raheem. Pleasure.
How are
Yeah,
you? I love the jersey, man.
Thanks, repping the town. We're broadcasting today from our studio in Oakland. We're in the Oakland studio today.
Yeah. We have different offices, studios, globally,
Yeah.
but today we're in Oakland.
Yeah, it's part of our
Okay.
North America operation.
Yeah, this is headquarters. We're at headquarters.
You know, we worldwide. We everywhere.
Hey, I see global in your title, so
Yeah,
you actually are worldwide. So I gotta give you credit. We're crazy.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I've been racking up the air miles a little bit.
Bro.
You know,
I see you. I see
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and Raheem, feel free to call me Mike or Michael
course.
or sir is kind of makes me
Big
feel even
big
older.
dog.
Don't worry,
Big
Mike.
dog,
I got you.
OG,
Mike is
Pops.
perfect.
Yeah, OG is
OG
also
is fine.
OG.
Yeah.
Max's dad's fine.
Yeah.
Anything.
I just want to give a little bit of context of how we got to where we are right now. We got Raheem on the pod. We met when did we meet? That was probably 2018, sometime in
wanna say-
2018.
Yeah, I want to say 2018 because that's when Terrell signed.
Yeah.
And Terrell was my best friend at UVA, and he ended up signing with T2. And then he was like, "Yo, Raheem, like, come out for a week, like, see how it is in Oregon." So I was
Yeah.
like, "Bro, bet." And he literally flew me out. And then that's when I met you
Flew out
guys.
by
I met you.
Terrell.
Yeah, like Terrell, bro. Shout out my boy Terrell.
Hey, for real, shout out Terrell. I miss that
Yeah.
guy. So yeah, where were we? You were out in Portland visiting Terrell, and
Yeah.
then me and T were boys, and obviously, I was linking up with Terrell, and you were there, and we connected, and
Right away.
I mean, the rest is history. Like
Yeah.
right away, there's some banter, some chemistry. I mean, I was telling my dad, like, bro, you got to be one of like the funniest dudes I've ever met. Just like your energy is vibrant, personality, like you're just someone who people want to be around. And so, I recognized that early, and we kicked it a bit when you were in town, and then kind of just stayed connected.
Yeah.
And shit, here we are 5 years later, 4
Later.
years later.
Wow.
And we're both
Ne-
doing our own shit, doing big shit.
Closing my first ever fashion show. Like,
Yes.
supporting me like that. Like, not even just like a personal relationship, but personal
Yeah.
and business. Like, it's crazy how life is like that.
Bro, I know that's one of the cooler things that I think about growing up. A lot of people I see kind of in these locker rooms or just like friends keep talking about like getting older and like, oh my God, I'm getting older, and like as if it's like a down thing. And I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't know if it was like the whole, high school wasn't my peak or like what, but I'm like, yo, I'm trying to like do business with my friends and like do
Yeah.
shit. Like that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, what do you mean? Like getting to 30, 40, that means like, yo, we're going to be doing some like impactful
Dope.
stuff,
Yeah.
like with our homies, like
Mhm.
it's only getting bigger. So
Yeah.
the fact that, you just closed your first fashion show and I was able to help out in any way from a friend's standpoint, but from a business standpoint, even better, actually,
Yeah.
no, probably from a friend's standpoint better, but it's a
Yeah.
cherry on top to,
Yeah, it's a
to
cherry on
do
top
all,
to mix both, like have the both
Yes.
of both worlds, like have the best
Yes.
of both worlds. And like I
Yes.
love that. But it was like, even when we first met though, like we hit it off right away. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just
Yeah.
all laughs.
Yeah.
We were all chilling in the house, man, and it was like
Yep.
I remember that because oh my God, we were in the crib just laughing, just having a good time. Like Lamar was there, Terrell, like we were just all kicking it, man. And then like we just hit it off from there. And then you were like, your sister was like making dinner like the next week. He's like, yo, you want to come through for dinner?
Wait, you came, yeah, you guys came through, right?
We came over for dinner to the crib.
Madison has cooked for Raheem. It's a family affair already.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's a family affair.
Was that your first visit to Portland that time?
That was my first ever visit to Portland. Yeah.
Damn.
That was my first ever visit. No. Actually, I'm lying. Actually, when I was leaving the Philadelphia Union Academy, I went on a visit to Oregon State.
Oh.
So Steve Simmons was recruiting me at the time. And then it was a choice between going to Oregon State or UVA, and I chose UVA. But then I ended up like leaving UVA and then going to Oregon State. Like after. So it just like I ended up in Oregon somehow.
It was meant to be. You just wanted to come closer to me and Terrell. Let's be real.
Yeah. To be honest, I was down for that. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? I met you guys and I was like, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's meant to be. But no, that was a really good segue. Actually, you helped me out there. That was perfect. You know what? Obviously, the reason that we want you on the show is to highlight you. You are our guest. You're the story we want to talk about. Yeah, get you. Wow.
Hold on.
We cannot see.
I got the lighting. Woo. All right. Yeah, but go ahead.
Give my man a ring light or something.
Yeah, man. I got you.
All right, there we go. We got the palm tree in the background.
There we go.
Tropical.
Yeah, Florida things, man.
Well, that was one of the questions we had is where are you?
Yeah, where are you?
Yeah,
we can't really figure out where you're from, where you've been, what you've done.
No, seriously. Like, honestly, I'm a little bit of a mystery, but I like that, you know? But
total
actually,
mystery.
I grew up in Toronto, Canada. So I was born there. My family's from Jamaica. So my mom and dad, like my dad was in New York, my mom was in Canada. And they actually had like a long distance relationship, like from then on. So they had me and I was born in Canada and I started playing soccer like age 8. And then when like a year going into club soccer in Canada, they're like, all right, we're packing up, we're going to Florida. So it was like literally going from Canada straight to Florida.
Wait, like how old were you when you were 9?
Yeah, like 9 years old, 2007. Yeah.
Are both your parents are of Jamaican descent, or are they from Jamaica?
Nah, they're Jamaican, like 100%. Like if you ever heard my mom and dad speak, man, like it would take you to like a reggae concert. I'm telling you.
I love that. You know, it's a lovely accent. It's a very sing-songy and very sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. I love my Jamaican heritage to the max, like 100%. Like I love that side of me.
I grew up in New York, and I know there's a very, very large Jamaican community in New York, but I don't associate Toronto or Canada with a Jamaican community. Was there much of a Jamaican community in Toronto?
Oh my gosh, Jamaican community in Canada is humongous. Like
really,
it's like because when you're leaving the island, like when you're leaving Jamaica, it's really hard to get into the U.S. So your two options are either go to Canada or like the Great Britain, like England. Yeah. So like you'll see like the English culture has a lot of Jamaican. Like look at Raheem Sterling, like so many guys have Jamaican heritage. Yeah. And then even on the Canadian national team, like a couple of guys got Jamaican heritage, like Kamal Miller and stuff like that. Yeah. Just Jamaican immigrants coming into Canada and just starting a new life. So that's kind of what my family did.
Yeah. What we want to do is highlight you and your story, like where you came from, what were you thinking as a kid? How did you get to where you are now? And then even now, like you've transitioned from being an athlete now into this other phase of your life. Post-career, but you're also still so close to the game, you know, in more ways than one, but you're also going out and doing these creative endeavors, doing these entrepreneurial endeavors. And let's talk about how you got to where you are now, and then talk about what you're doing now and where you're going. So you grew up in the six. I was wondering, like, he's always repping Canada, but I keep seeing Tampa as his hometown and all these. I was like, something's not adding up. So I'm glad we got that context. You moved to Florida as a kid. You said you were playing youth soccer. What were your aspirations when you were, 9 years old, moving from Canada to Florida? You're like, damn, it's hot down here. I'm assuming you're still playing footy. What were you thinking as a kid during that time?
Like when I first came, like I remember when we first left Canada, like to visit Florida. And like when I came here, like I came like with my soccer ball, but like I didn't know anybody or like anything. Like to me, it was just like, all right, I could go play in the backyard in Florida and stuff. Like when we got here, like when I got to the Florida, it was like a completely different like universe. Like you see like this Canadian kid from Mississauga, like living in Florida now. Like back then it was like all like marshes and like alligators and like it was kind of swampy. It wasn't as developed now. So it's like, damn, like this is really Florida. Like I'm in Florida right now. Like it's crazy. And it's like, but like when we came to visit, we visited one of my mom's cousins and like she had just like a gorgeous house like in Tampa, which is like we live in Tampa, but like we live in this area called like Wesley Chapel. So it's kind of like a smaller area. Like but it's like it developed so much now, but back then it was like just this vast land with like these little housing communities and stuff. And like my mom just fell in love with it, really, I think. And she was just like, all right, I got my green card. And my dad was living in New York at the time. So like we kind of want to all bring the family together because they're like married but long distance.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, let's move to Florida. And it's also close to like what Jamaican temperatures were like. You know, they knew they were getting old. They ain't trying to be in the cold no more. So like they're chilling. So I mean, they've been here ever since.
Careful with the old comment.
No, you're chilling. You're chilling. They're wise. They're wise.
Wise.
Yeah.
OGs.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. So came to Florida. What were your aspirations at that point in life? Were you dreaming of being a professional footballer? What were you thinking you wanted to do when you grow up? You know, how would you answer that prototypical question?
I knew I kind of wanted to be a pro. Like I remember because the way I first like fell in love with the game is my first ever FIFA game was like FIFA 06.
Yeah.
Like so
legendary
that game,
year. That's a legendary
like,
year.
FIFA 06, like I didn't realize how much I wanted to be a pro until like actually started playing FIFA and like understanding footy and like playing with like Ronaldo and stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm starting to get to know the names of the players and stuff in the teams. And I think honestly, like playing FIFA kind of helped me at first. And then I was like, oh snap, like there's like guys who are like, I saw like Freddie Adu on the front cover. So that's Freddie Adu was one of my like influence, like a lot of like to me, like I think he's an icon. Like I don't know.
He really was.
Yeah,
he really was.
He was really the first to do all of this. Like obviously he didn't work out because there's so much pressure on him, but like the barriers that he broke, like even Tyler Adams said in an interview too, like, yo, like Freddie Adu's like very influential. Like I hope people don't forget that for sure.
Especially in the US too, because he really put like US soccer kind of in the news. And,
like
soccer wasn't talked about, you know?
Yep.
So
for sure.
Shout out,
were
shout
you
out
good
Freddie
at...
if he's out here listening. Shout out Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie.
Yeah, shout out Freddie, man.
Max played against Freddie.
Yeah, I played against Freddie. He was on Las Vegas Lights.
Oh, Vegas Lights? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember I used to be watching those games on that bumpy pitch. Jeez, man.
Oh my God.
With all the smoke.
They had llamas. They had llamas on the field pregame. And
bro, I heard their team is just like a zoo. Like
they had a helicopter drop $5,000 cash on the field at halftime. Like
what?
It's just wild.
It's Vegas, baby.
It's Vegas.
It's Vegas.
Yeah,
it's Vegas.
I mean, it's only right.
Yeah.
Did your parents introduce you to soccer, football? I mean, were they players?
The way I first got introduced to the game was actually in Canada. I was like, I think like 7 or 8 years old, and I started playing soccer like on like the concrete in like Toronto in the streets. And like I realized I was really, really fast. Like I was really fast and like, you know, like I could like I was kind of good. So then I remember like I ran into like my kitchen, like the small kitchen we had in like in our home in Toronto. And I was like, Mom, like, could you sign me up for like soccer? Like, nice. I think I'm actually kind of good. And she was just like, you know, she's Jamaican. She's just like, she's cooking. She's just like, go away. Like, you know, like, you don't know what you're talking about. But then she actually listened and like, she got like, I think my dad like paid the fee for me to join club soccer. It was like 500 Canadian dollars. And like, that was like my first year of like club soccer. And like, I was just like immensely faster than like every other player. So like every time I was just through on goal. So it was just like, I would just have to finish it. So like, that was kind of like my thing. So that's how it kind of started from there. Like I was always naturally just quick athletic. So like, it kind of just went really well.
Yeah. Raheem was destined for greatness on the field. We knew that already, but in our research, we see you played for the U.S. youth national team, also played for the Canadian youth national team. Am I correct in that research? Okay.
Exactly.
Was there any kind of like internal debate, or how did that work out playing for two different national teams? From like a identity, or like being proud of being from Canada, living in the US? What was that kind of internal thought process like?
So like I grew up doing like ODP, making region camp, and then making like the U4. So like I went to the first ever like U14 boys national team like identification camp. This was like the first like 80 players, all 98s and 99s.
I went to that too.
But like this one was like especially big because it had like Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Josh Perez, like Luca De La Torre, like Joe Gallardo, Eric Calvi, like all these guys who like Jack Skane from like San Jose, like it was just like a whole generation of guys who would like either like at least go to USL or go to MLS or like even blossom to go to Europe. Like it was like the first like pipeline we saw of like just one age group making it pro.
It's like the LeBron draft class.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Was there any sort of like feeling some type of way about representing Canada versus the US? Or was it just like, oh, I'm living in the US, they want me, you know, I got homies on the team, I'm rocking with the US? Or was it like, was there like any possibility of playing for Canada?
Yeah, so like from U14 to U15 national team camp, I got called up like consistently. And then like as U15s started going on and like they started making international trips, I wasn't making the international trips. I was only making the domestic camps. So I was like, so then one of my coaches that I knew from here, he had a connection to like the Canadian like national team federation. And like, I think at the time I had like a highlight tape I sent out to the coach, Sean Fleming. He was the U17 coach, but I was only like U15. So I was younger. So I was 15 years old. And he was like the 96 national for like the U17 World Cup for the 96s. So I was basically going to play 2 years up. So they're looking at me and they're like, yo, this kid looks interesting. He's a little bit young though. Like, I don't know if he's going to be ready like physically to go up to the U17s. But they ended up calling me in actually. So it was surprising. They had a camp in Florida. I lived in Florida. So my family drove me down. I'm like 15 years old with like these guys, U17. So it was like Jordan Hamilton, Marco Bustos.
Yeah, I remember him.
Alex Comcia, like some of those guys, so 96 age group.
Yeah.
So then I kind of come in, like back then I was a little bit cocky, like, you know, like I was going to the US national team camps and like that was after I went on trial with Arsenal too. So it was like, you know, I was in my ultimate, like, I'll tell you more about that.
That's a story.
Yeah. You mentioned you went on trial with Arsenal, which is like, all right, we just kind of got to hear a little bit about that. Like
this story is actually pretty crazy. So so I had like so my mom had like a family relative who like told me that her son was like a football agent in England. So they went to like one of these like, so like Jamaicans, what we used to have is like we have these little holiday parties where like the whole family comes, they play a lot of dance hall reggae music and stuff. And like soccer's a part of the, like football is a part of the culture. So like people start talking about football and like people are coming up to my mom saying like, hey, like I heard your son's a footballer, like, you know, like he can play ball. So it was like, all right. So like my mom was like, yeah, like, you know, he's a baller. So like word kind of gets around in the family and then somebody that knows somebody. And then it ended up, he was an agent and he was like, look, like we sent him my highlight tape and like, it was really good. It was like, I was 14 and like, I was like balling. So like they showed the like the Arsenal staff. It was like Arsenal and Fulham, and Arsenal actually said like, yeah, like bring him in for a week and see what he could do. Cause I was already making like the US national teams.
Yeah.
Gideon Zalalem was already there. So like he was like the guy who like kind of put me on. Cause it was like, yo, this kid's 16. He's ready for the first team. Like what other Americans are out there that might be interesting?
Yeah.
So it was like, I was second up. So I remember going out, like my parents drove me to Miami. Like I got flown out to London for like the first time. And I was like, oh snap. Like, this is really like it didn't really hit me that I was really going to Arsenal. Like I was just like, like this is just like I'm in England right now.
Well,
like, this is
did
crazy.
you have any fan association with the Prem team? Because Arsenal is your Prem team now, right? Like
so back then, I'm not gonna lie, like I was a big fan of Manchester United because Cristiano Ronaldo. I watched him so much. But then when I went on trial with Arsenal, I had to swap.
It changed.
I had to swap. It was I had
and
to swap.
I feel like you are. I don't know. Like you can identify like who's an
Uh,
Arsenal
uh,
fan. Like when you meet
it's
someone, it's
funny.
just like, oh yeah, like you'd fuck with Arsenal.
Yeah, you could tell. You could tell.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, all Arsenal fans are a little groovy. You feel me? We got a little swag. That's what I love
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
You think so, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, of
No,
course.
I know so. I know so. I know so.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what was that? I mean, what was the trial like? Was it, I mean,
Yeah, so I remember my first day of training, and like I got these new pair of Mercurials, and like I was just like, you know what? Like I need to do well I don't know. Like I didn't really think of it. I remember training with me and Ainsley Maitland-Niles were just passing
oh
the ball
shit.
back and forth. Me and Chris Willick, like we're close.
Yeah.
Like we were talking then. OVA Ajaria, who plays on Reading now, like he was there like as a youngster, and like he gave me his jersey when I went to the UK. Like so it was
Yeah.
like there was who else was there? Steffi Mavadidi plays in like League One for like Montpellier. So it was like,
Yeah.
yo, it was
There's
like
some
these
good
guys were
players.
ballers. Like
Yeah.
Joe Willick was there. Joe Willick, like
Yeah.
I'm training with Joe Willick. All these guys, we're all 14. So the first day they made me train the age group up, because they're like, you know what, like if he can handle an age group up, he could play in his age group. Like they wanted to see if how much I could actually compete.
Yeah.
And like they set up like a bunch of like 1v1 drills. So I remember going up against like the right back name was Tafari Moore. Like he made a couple appearances, like he made it up to the U23s, and like he's playing like I think like National League now. And like I was just dribbling past like these guys 1v1 every time, like just doing moves they were coming off, like doing step overs. And like there was a couple kids who came on trial that day. Like it was me and like another kid and another kid. And like two of them didn't end up doing well. I didn't see them after that. So like that's how cutthroat it was. It was like,
Yeah.
if you're not good after the first day, like you're gone. Like
peace.
And I saw that because I never seen them kids ever again. So then the next day I trained with my actual age group, and like that was with Chris Willick, Joe Willick, Marcus McGuane. Like he played on Barca B. Some guys who played for like Sunderland, League One, League Two guys now, up to like the Premier League. So it was, these guys are good, man. Like it was like playing at this level for me was like I had the Arsenal kit on, and like I was just like
crazy.
playing with these guys, and it's just like, whoa, like I'm really here. And like so I trained the rest of the week. And then like I think like the sporting director for the opportunity, it was Liam Brady at the time, Liam Brady. And basically they couldn't just sign me because I didn't have a European passport. They're like, look, like it would require him to like you guys to like get a job to England. There's too much of a risk. Like he's really, really young. Like we see the potential, but like let him develop a little bit in the US. So overall, it's a great like I stayed in touch with like a lot of the players. They were asking me like, yo, like, are you coming back to play this tournament with us next month? Like, so I'd made a great impression. And I stay in contact with Chris Willick to this day. OVA Ajaria is like my good friend. He went to Liverpool and he plays at Reading now. So it's like I met a lot of guys that I still keep in touch with to this day. And like that's kind of the story of my life, man. Like through my soccer career, I just networked and like it met people that just turned out to be like being influenced in the game. So it's just a blessing.
Do you think you have a personality, you know, that is sort of unique? Because you know, it's one of the cool things about what you guys do is you're exposed to a lot of teammates and opponents, and you know, your guys your own age who have similar interests to you, and you know, you do have, you know, bonding opportunities and connecting opportunities, but not everyone establishes those connections, right? Some players do and some players don't. You obviously you connect with people, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you a funny story. So it's like, so the first ever U14 national team, right? Like everybody is just like young, like everybody's nervous, nervous and stuff. And then here comes me, like the bus is mad quiet, like nobody knows each other, like everybody's just chilling on the region team. And then I come with all this energy, just like joking around, like everybody knew me at camp. Like I was just joking around with everybody. Like even like Danny Barbier will tell you, bro, like you can ask him. Danny Barbier and I known each other for a long time. Like he'll tell you, like I was just the type of guy to just chat with everybody, you know, make sure everybody's comfortable, like chill. Like that's just the person. That's the type of person I was. Like, and you know who was like that too? Weston McKinney was like that too. Like he was very outgoing.
He
had like too much energy. Like he was like energetic, like just like bro, like no, like nonstop. But me, I was like more of like a joking, like I was funny and stuff, you know? So like, that's how kind of like everybody kind of started to know me at camp and like started to make kind of a name for myself. Cause it wasn't just like my ability on the pitch. It was just like my personality made you like I was a person that couldn't really be missed. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
if
No,
it wasn't for
I mean,
soccer, it'd be my personality.
yeah, bro. That's why we're here right now. Like
Yeah.
we made that connection, and like it's not just a connection, it's like it becomes a friendship.
Mhm.
And I mean, every team needs someone like you on that team. Like teams become so much more bonded, and like there's so many more friendships and relationships when there's someone like that to like bring people together, you know? And
100%.
honestly, that's like one of the reasons, not one of the reasons why I started the podcast, but one of the benefits from being on all these teams over the years is I've learned that like you have this really unique opportunity where you get to spend a year very intimately with a group of people. And like, that's, you know, not everybody gets to do that. And I've been able to meet some unbelievable people throughout the years. And that's evolved into some of my closest friends. Honestly, most of my closest friends are from soccer. It's because, you know, you get to spend so much time together, and it's like no other opportunity to network with people and develop relationships. So, I mean, that's why we're here, bro. And I think you have a really unique ability to connect with people. And I mean, I kind of want to talk about it a little bit later, kind of how you're using that skill set, you know, currently, because I'm interested, you know, kind of, we just talked about your self-awareness. You left college early to go play professionally. Was it in Sweden?
Switzerland.
So so you left college to go play in Switzerland, was there for a period of time, which I don't know, you can fill in some of the dots, but then you end up returning back to college. So walk us through a little bit of your mindset and thinking, you know, I still got a year of eligibility left, but fuck it, I'm gonna go to Switzerland for this opportunity. What was the opportunity like, and kind of what happened that motivated you to come back and return to college soccer? And you know, we'll go from there.
So for me leaving UVA, it was just like, honestly, it was like mostly just financial, bro. Like after my second year, I was supposed to get like a full ride. Like that was like the agreement. And like they said that they could only give me like a little bit more of my scholarship. Like I was on like I think like a 65% scholarship.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right. So then I was like, my dad actually got sick. So he got like diagnosed with a type of like cancer or something. So I was like, okay, so like, you know what, like let me start my pro career now, start to make money for my family. Like I was thinking about my dad's health at the time. So it was like, you know, like, so I got the opportunity to play in Switzerland in like the third division. The team was like, had aspirations to go to like the Challenge League, which they are now. So it was like, all right, so if I play well third, 1 year, boom, I'm in the second, and then I could work my way up. I'm only 19 years old. Right. So like, that was kind of like my logic.
Damn, so you were 19 when you left.
Yeah, I was 19 after the 2017 season, like 2018. Damn. Yeah. So August 2018. So I go over there, and like they're telling me like, yeah, like you couldn't play games because like I didn't have like a European passport or something. So I was like, oh my God, like not this again.
Damn, they didn't tell you that before you got over there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I don't know why. So like, yeah, so then I ended up, so I was like, all right. So then I ended up going on trial with like a couple of teams in Denmark. I went to Hobro and Randers. Didn't really make those. Then I came back home for like 3 months just to train for trials.
Hold on, what was your mental like going through that? Like going on these trials, you know?
Yeah,
let me not signing you. What are you thinking throughout that? Like, were you having any doubts? What are you thinking?
Plus, you're a long way from home.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a foreign culture. You're a Jamaican guy from Toronto who spent a little time in Philadelphia as well as Florida and everywhere else.
Max will attest to this. Like those trials, those traveling, all that is the most mentally taxing, like dedication time of your life. Like, you're literally going every day, and you're like, hopefully I could get a contract. Like all you want is that piece of paper in front of you to sign. Like, you literally put your heart and soul into like these training sessions, and like you're in Europe now. So like you're an American in Europe, and they're like, who's this American kid that's gonna take my job? You know, like I ain't gonna let him take my job. Like it's not gonna be easy. Right. So it was like when I went on trial at Hobro, like luckily like Emmanuel Sabi was already there. So he was doing really, really well. So Emmanuel Sabi, shout out to him. That's my boy too. He's at Odense. He made a couple of youth national teams. He played in the U20 World Cup. So he kind of took me in like under his wing. Like I stayed at his house. with another kid, this Ghanaian guy who went to like Right to Dream. So like they kind of took me in, and like when I was on trial, and like they had a free weekend off before my trial, like before I went. And they're like, yo, Raheem, come to Copenhagen with us for like the weekend. So I was like, okay, because we're in a small town called Hobro, so there's nothing to do. There's just like graveyards, like nothing there. So we're like, okay, let's take the ferry to Copenhagen, man. I've never been to Copenhagen. So we go to Copenhagen, man. Like it's dope. We go get like our haircuts, and then my boy Collins was like, yo, a bunch of my boys who play on FC Nordsjælland like want to chill. Like we want to go hang out. And I said, yeah. So we go to the apartment. The Ghanaian culture is crazy. Like they have the Ghanaian food cooking in the room. So like I was with
Is it in Denmark?
So this is crazy. This is in Denmark. So Mohamed Kudus, who plays for Ajax now, is in the room. And I didn't even know who he was at the time. He plays for Ajax now. Then you got my boy Abdul Mumin, who plays in the Liga Primeira in Portugal. He's probably going to go to the Premier League.
Oh my God.
So it's like, I don't know this now, but it's like, we're just cooling, playing FIFA, listening to like Afro beats. And like they cook for me. They made me like Ghanaian stew. So it's like, you know, like I became one of the brothers. Like it was nice, bro.
Yeah.
And it was actually one of their birthdays. So like, they went out that night and like they had a huge party. Like it was amazing. And like all the guys from like the biggest teams in like Denmark were there. Like, so like a couple guys, there's one guy, Paul Onuachu, he plays on Genk with Mark McKenzie. So it was like when Mark McKenzie went there, like I told him to link up. So you see how I'd be linking stuff up for people when the people I meet. So it's like, so I was in Denmark, I was on trial. They didn't really work out. But then my agent told me that this one club, Viborg, who's in the Danish Superliga now, they're interested in you. So go back to America, like train for 2 months, like get right, and then come back into January. So it's January 2019. So like I go back home, train, get ready for the trial. They're supposed to have me in for 2 weeks. And like I was playing really well on trial. They kept me for another 2 weeks. Like they're writing articles about me, like in the newspapers and stuff. So I was like, all right, like, you know what I'm saying? Things are looking good. Like, hopefully I can get a contract. And then the sporting director got fired, and then they went another direction, signed a Norwegian first division striker. So I was like, all right. So like I went back home. I didn't really have a club or anything. I wasn't in school. So my mom was like, all right, like, let's try to get your eligibility back. Cause like when I was in Europe, I didn't sign the contract because I didn't play any games. So it was like, and I just only went on trial. So it's not like I signed, and I didn't sign with an agent because I told all the agents there, like, I'm not signing with you until I find a contract. So that was very smart. Like, you see how I was thinking, I was always ahead. Like, that's why a lot of young players ask for my advice. Cause like, I knew how it worked. They wanted to put you to put pen to paper, just be with them. But I was like, no, like I'll go on trial. If I do well, then I'll sign with you. Like, don't worry. Handshake agreement, handshake. Like, I'll go with you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I go on trial with Viborg, and I was there for 3 weeks, and then sporting director got fired, so I didn't end up making it. So I came back home. My mom called Jeff Cook, who was my coach at Philadelphia Union. He was the coach at Penn State, and she was telling him the whole situation, and like he went to his like compliance team to see if I could get back my eligibility and stuff. And like they came back to me, and he was like, "Yo, it's gonna be a long process, but honestly, like you might have a chance." So that's all I needed to hear. So like so like first, like coaches started like reaching out to me, started getting around that I was available, but I had like this problem. And then so first I had to like get my clearance from like UVA. So like I had to tell UVA, I had to go on the transfer portal through UVA, and UVA is like, didn't this kid sign pro? Like they weren't trying to have it, but they were like, nah, like I had all the proof, I had the paperwork, but I just had to show it. So then eventually my coach from UVA my assistant coach that brought me to UVA went to Oregon State, Terry Boss. So Terry Boss was he was like Greg Berhalter's assistant for a little bit for the goalkeeper spot in like the Gold Cup, I think in like 2018. And like, you know, he has a good resume. They just won the Pac-12. Like he's a good guy, man. So he brought me to Oregon State, but it was like, it took like a whole process. Like it took 5 months to like get the deliberation.
You pretty much lost a year.
I pretty much lost a year playing soccer.
In that transition. Yeah,
exactly. I played PDL.
Did you want to go to Oregon State? I mean, was that like, okay, that's
to me, it was like,
you've got a lot of East Coast roots, right?
Yeah.
So not the East Coast.
He was trying to come kick it with me and Pro.
So it was like, I remember that summer I played in the US like an Open Cup with Lakeland Tropics. So like I was using that to stay fit, and I was playing pretty well in PDL. But like I knew of Oregon because I knew Terrell and Max were there. And also, I also remember I got scouted by Oregon State. Like I visited there before college. Yeah. So it's like I knew what it was like. So it wasn't like I didn't like the city already.
Yeah.
But then like when I got there, I realized I was like, wow, like Oregon is very different. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
like,
Well, you're not in Portland. You're in.
I'm in Corvallis. So it's like
Corvallis.
a small town. And like, you know me, I'm a big personality, big city kind of guy. And I get to Corvallis and it's like, yo, like this is mad. Like this is like people go hiking and stuff. Like, I don't know, people riding bikes everywhere. I'm like, yo, like I've never seen this in my life. Like,
yeah. Okay. So you're at Oregon State and, you know, eventually your eligibility runs up. At that point,
like I was in like the first like top 40 for like the pre projections and stuff.
Yep.
And then for some reason, like they wouldn't put me on the draft list for some reason. I don't know why. The draft is eligibility list. They wouldn't put on, like they wouldn't tell me the reason. The league wouldn't tell me the reason. They didn't put me on the list. So I couldn't get drafted. So I was like, okay, like wow. And it was sad because it was like I felt like for me to make that level that I want to be, that was my last opportunity. Like I was like, it's either draft or nothing. Like I have to get drafted. And if someone sees me and they see I could run in behind and like see what I could do, like it could take a chance. But I didn't even get that chance. So it was like, and then I knew from there, I was like, all right, then possibly I could like end up in like, so like I went on trial with like Inter Miami second team. They're in like USL League One. And it's like, for me, it was hard to get to like the MLS and stuff from there. So it was like, that didn't really work out either. So then it's a grind, man. So then I was like, you know what? Like I could offer so much more. I know so many people, like so many opportunities, like the future is bright. Even if it's not in the game, I know I'm going to be connected to the game somehow. I was like, I'm going to have an influence on this game no matter what. If I'm not playing, then most definitely like off the field. So then that year, like that was what 2021 or 2021. So it was 2021, man. And like, so I was still in school and stuff. I stayed away from so I stayed at home. So I was just studying at home, just trying to get my degree and stuff. And like my grandmother passed away. So then my grandmother passed away. We went to Jamaica. I mean, we went to New York to like visit my family and stuff. So that was like, I had like a little down period. So like my grandma passed away, but then my friend came up with an idea. He's like, yo, Raheem, like I'm making this art. Like, that's very, very good, man. Like, I'm trying to have my first art exhibit. And like, I seen his like progression. His name is Mink. He's one of my best friends. We've known each other since I was 9. So I was like, all right. So I was like, you know what? Like, how about like, we could put this into something. Like I could do something with that. Like we could do a show in December. I'll tell all the players that I know in like MLS and USL in the off season, and like we'll do like a show. So like the plan was just originally just to have the art show. Like So
well,
like
if you told all the MLS players and soccer players that you know to come, you'd need a stadium.
Yeah, it was. I went on my, it was easy, like 50 to 60 guys, 60, 70 guys. Like I know so many guys in the league, man. I know on every USL team, I at least know like 2 to 3 people, I want to say.
At least.
Yeah. At least.
Wait, let me rewind. Let me just rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Was there any sort of like mental shift or difficulty from like an identity standpoint? Like you've been an athlete your whole life. You've been on youth national teams. You've been on trial at Arsenal, trial at clubs in Denmark. Like that's not just like, oh, I played soccer for fun. You were an elite athlete and competing to be a professional. And, you know, I have no doubt you could have played professional for years if you wanted to. And then you're shifting into doing something different, which we're going to get into, but still being very closely connected to the game. Was that like difficult, or talk about that from a mental standpoint, like your identity, being an athlete, but then now you're like, okay, I'm going to be doing something completely different, but like, I'm still going to be interacting with some of my, you know, best friends, but also just colleagues are going to be athletes. What is that going to be like? So what was that like for you?
And just to add for our listeners, you're not old and you're not injured, right? It's not like, okay,
I'm 23 years old, fully healthy.
Right. You're 23, you're healthy. You can play, but you decide not to.
Yeah. So that transition in itself was crazy. And I'll get to that. Actually, because I'll always, so when I was younger, like 17, 18, and I saw like Christian going to Dortmund and Haji going to Schalke, and like seeing all these moves going around me. And I was just like, yo, like I want to be these guys. I want to be these guys, blah, blah, blah. And then once I went to college and kind of saw like their pathway and my pathway, I started to like kind of realize like, look, like I'm kind of coming into my own person. Like I could do stuff more than just be a ball.
Yeah.
Like I knew I could just be, I knew for a fact I could be a professional athlete, but I knew I wasn't going to be the best. Like, you know, like for me, I was like, I could actually be like the most influential on this game off the field, like hands down. Like I realized like, I was like, you know what, like, if I'm not going to be that, if I'm not going to make the, you know, like make the MLS at least, like, I know I could like go do something that I'll be like very, very good at. And that, and me, for me, was just my personality, networking and getting the opportunities that I can. So then, but then look, I still had the love for the game though. Like I was even playing, I played PDL that past summer with Tampa Bay United. We made playoffs, and this is kind of like where the story comes. So yeah, so we were supposed to only have an art show, by the way. So like we're taking it from there. So we're supposed to only have an art show at the time. Then I was playing PDL. We made like the PDL playoffs. And like I get a text from people wishing me good luck and stuff. And I was just like, I was joking at the time. I was like, yo, this is my last game. Like I'm retiring after this.
Yeah.
So like I put like a live stream. I was like, if you're trying to tune into my last game, whatever.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. So then my cousin like messaged me, like me and my cousin, like we're really, really close. And like he started messaging, he's like, yo, shut up. This is not your last game. Like go ball out. And I was like, yeah, I'll do my thing. We ended up getting smacked. Like I got a message from my cousin. He's like, bro, you guys got smacked. Like the stream was terrible. And I was like, bro, I know. I was like, bro, I'm gonna have to hang up the boots. And he's like, nah, man, like keep, like he was like, nah, man. He's like, you're gonna be good whatever you do. Like just keep going.
Yeah.
And then little did I know, like 2 weeks later, that's when my cousin committed suicide. So that was the last message I ever got from my cousin.
That was your cousin,
after that soccer game.
Kobe Taylor.
Kobe Taylor, yep. So then after that game, I was like, you know what? Let this be the last game that he's ever seen me play.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
That's kind of a huge decision, though. I mean, wow. It takes a lot of, I guess, courage and confidence, a combination of both, right? Because there's something, you know, you do really well and you can continue doing it, right? You can have a pro career and, you know, and bump along and have some fun and, you know, just kind of figure out what's next after you put that aside. But you decide kind of to make a very abrupt and dramatic. It's not like you went from playing soccer to, okay, I'll coach. I'm going to coach or something like that. You take a different direction.
I think it was really, really crazy because I feel like I was just going through like a transitional part of my life. And like, I was just like, I wanted to do other things. Like I seen so many, like, I think Max had an influence on me too. Like he was doing things with like fashion and stuff and like art. And I was just like, yo, like, I'm really, really interested in that stuff too. And it was like, I love soccer. And like, I mean, I was going through a lot as well, like mentally, like myself, like think about it, like my cousin passing away at 23 years old. Like for me, it was like, wow, like that's the person that I grew up with, that we're the same age. Like, so we grew up together hand in hand. So like, that's like my brother. Cause on my family side, like on my family, like I have 2 sisters, so I don't have any brothers. So it's like my older cousins or like my cousins are my brothers. So it was just like, yo, I lost my brother. So for me, it was like, you know what? Like I played soccer and like, I don't know if I didn't really want to go through that grind or like whatever. And I was like, you know what? I see the pathway. I see where Mink's going and I see the modeling and the fashion and like the art thing and how it could come together and how I could start using my personality, but also staying immensely close to the game. And I was like, no matter what, like whatever it is, soccer is going to be first for me, like influencing the game, like expanding US soccer from my standpoint, from my platforms. Like that's my goal. So it was like, I'm going to make sure that like generations of kids like know who I am from the standpoint of like, look, he grew the game on like an influencer, like culture level more than anything else. Cause we were talking about it, like American soccer culture is very, very like fairly new. Like, I was in London like last month. Like you go to a Chelsea game and like the fans are like the average middle-aged like British dude, like, you know, like the fan like culture is already set. It's from like the 1900s and like kind of stayed consistent. Like the crowds aren't as diverse, I would say. So it's like, and that's kind of like the culture of like English football. But it's starting to get more diverse. You'll see more Black people or like people from different cultures and like the fans, but like there's not many. Whereas if you go to an American soccer game, it's just people from everywhere just enjoying the game. Like I was at the game last night, and the diversity in the crowd was immense. Just like everybody just coming together. It's like to like support America, like American soccer. So like for me, I was like, yo, like America has the chance to like be an all-inclusive game for all, and like base the culture around that from the beginning. Like MLS started in what, 96? So it's like USL is like fairly new. So it's like our culture, like I could like have an influence on the culture that like shit, like people know that this is the American soccer culture. And like I saw it from that way. And I think when I started seeing that, it was amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, soccer has been played in England professionally for hundreds of years, and soccer in the US, it's been played professionally for last 30, 40, but like just recently it's really starting to get investment. It's really starting to take off. So it's such like, I feel like we're at an inflection point where you do have the ability to impact the culture, you know? And I feel like, you know, you were talking about, and I've talked about this as a kid, wanting to be a professional soccer player. And I feel like as kids, we have this idea of like, that's the only goal. Like the only goal is playing professional soccer, but there's still so many ways to impact the game without being a player on the field. And I'm slowly realizing that as I get older in my career, that there's so many positions within the whole soccer world, you know, whether it be an agent, whether it be a GM, whether it be a technical director, whether it be someone from a brand who's able to have a cultural impact. Like there's so many ways you could put your footprint or your fingerprint on the game without being one of the 11 players on the field. And so I think a lot of times as kids, we get caught up with this idea of like having the title professional soccer player or whatever. And like, I had that in my head too. My first year, I was like, all I want to do is sign a contract so I can tell my kids I played professional soccer. That was all I wanted to do. But then once I was there, it's like, a lot of times this is a fucking grind. And it's brutal. And it's not this fairy tale, you know, like I'm still doing it today. And like, it's reaped great rewards. And like, I owe this game everything. But at the same time, I've also come to see that like, there's so much around this game that you can still give so much to without being, you know, lacing up your boots every day. And so for you to recognize that at the age you're at and be at peace with that is like, you know, my hat is off to you, because like it's taken me until the last few years to fully like embrace this identity of like, yes, I'm a professional footballer and like I know what that's my job and I love it. But at the same time, like I can still contribute to this world off of the field, you know, things like this podcast, things like People on Mars. There's things that I'm trying to build post-career where it's like, yeah, I'm still involved in soccer. I'm still impacting the game, impacting the culture, impacting the community. But that doesn't just happen in 90 minutes being in the 11. Like 100%. There's a lot more than just that. As much 100%. As that gives to us and has given to us and will continue to give to everyone in the soccer world, like a lot of other shit happens outside of that. And as you've recognized, you are a very unique individual at a pretty cool time in the US game where you're tapped in with some of the biggest names in US soccer, in soccer in general, but specifically in US soccer. Some of the names you mentioned, like Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, you have connection with these guys and you are at the forefront of impacting this culture that's being brewed right now. So like talk a little bit about where you see yourself in that position and kind of like what you see yourself doing. So now you've founded Hyphenate Creative Co. Talk a little bit about that. Just, you know, you see this potential and you know that you have a unique ability, you know that you have unique connections. You know, what are you thinking now that you're in this position?
I think for me, it's just like, I think like this company could do like so many things. Like for me, when I first started it, it was like, I want to be involved in like the culture and like media and a bunch of stuff. So it's like the first thing. So like the first thing was like, yo, let's start having events, like getting these guys who like these professional guys who are playing, like get them all in the same room together and like spread the game, spread the culture. Like give these guys kind of like the platform to like turn into kind of like celebrities of the game. That's how I see it. It's like when you go to Europe, for example, like they treat those guys like celebrities, like literally like they chase down their, like I've been in a car with Christian and like fans just trying to get his autograph on the car. Like we're just driving and like I have a video of it. It's crazy. Like, so it's like, for me, it's like, I want the culture to be like that in America, like, you know? So it's like, and I have so like, that's kind of like what Hyphenate wants to do, whether it's just like having these events for like guys to make them feel more like celebrity and like exclusive and be like, look, like you guys are shaping the game. Like you guys have the ability to shape the culture and make a difference and like get them associated with some of the connections I have in like other sports, such as like NFL and like NBA, and that's like expanding all their sports by coming together. And it's like, Max will tell you, like kind of iron sharpens iron. Like when you see guys who are doing their things in other fields, like just as good as you, it makes you look at like things differently. Cause it's like, for example, like, if you're playing in Europe and like you're a professional soccer player, like, and you see someone like playing in like the NFL or something, and you guys are kind of like doing the same thing, but like shifting the culture in a different way. He might be doing it in football, you're doing it in soccer, but it's like you guys are united by like sports in a way. And like soccer kind of comes into that as well.
Shared
It's like,
experience.
you know, it's like a shared experience. So that's kind of like what I wanted to do with my events and projects, and like bring like the creative aspect, the arts, like the culture, bring like fashion shows and give fashion brands, upcoming fashion brands, such as like People on Mars or like even the Marathon Minute gear, like giving that an opportunity to an expand. So it's just like, the way I see it is like my events and stuff are like a network of like opportunities. Like that's how I see it. It's like guys coming together for opportunities who are within like the same like level or like developed same age, like 18, like 20 to like, you know, 20, like 28, 29. Cause it's like, there's not many times where like people in that age range could get like guidance from people who are doing the same thing. For example, like Max, like, do you like, you know, like it's hard for you to like see someone who's doing something like at your age that's like similar interests. Like it's very rare. And like you're a professional soccer player as well. So like your bubble gets even smaller.
I've learned a lot. I've learned that networking is one of the biggest contributor to creating anything and just success. That's what I've learned over the last few years. And so you're providing really unique networking opportunities, and you're kind of the person who makes it all happen. And no, I think you're exactly right in that part of building this culture is being able to connect the dots. And you're someone who knows a lot of these people who can shift the culture and can put them in positions to, you know, meet up with an artist or collaborate with a designer. So you can help connect these dots. But no, I mean, I agree 100%. Like the more that I've been able to ask other people questions and be able to learn from others, that directly has affected my ability to do things. And yeah, I think, you know, what you're doing is really unique, and it's needed in a time where this culture, like you said, is ripe to be created. Like people like yourself are on the forefront of it. So what are some things that we can expect from you? What's your day-to-day like right now? I mean, you're in London, you're at the game in Orlando, like
man. So we're looking forward to some like collaborations that we have coming together for this show. We're potentially working with like One Football, which is like a brand. They're like on Instagram. They have like 6 million like followers. The guy that I met, my man Alessandro, he works there. We were like I met him in Manchester for Zach Steffen's event, because like they ran it together with Zach Steffen's foundation and like One Football. So then he ended up coming to New York. I was in New York 2 weeks ago, and he was like, hey, like let's network, let's link together. So we ended up like just meeting up in New York, just talking about ideas and stuff like that. And he's like, yo, like we should potentially bring a collaboration to like the event and stuff like that to like expand their growth to like the United States. So I mean, we're in talks to do that. We had a meeting with Raheem Sterling's brand 1692 to bring them. So we're like, we talked to them a couple of weeks ago. I have to follow up with them, but like I met Raheem Sterling in Manchester like when we went. So it was insane. So
that's crazy.
We were just chilling at this, like I could tell you the whole story if you want me to. Like Yeah, so we went to the
Hey, might as
foundation.
well.
Yeah, might as well. So we went to the foundation and it was dope, man. Shout out Zach Steffen, man. He's a great guy. He's doing great things with like his foundation for inner city Black communities. And going to his event, I kind of just got closer with him and developed that relationship. So yeah, so like his family was
Wait, hold on,
there.
rewind a second. This
Yeah.
is kind of like how do you get access to go to Zach Steffen's event and chop it up with him? Like, this is one of these unique things that you're able to do where you get to, like, not everyone can just go to this event and chop it up with the number 2 keeper at Man City, you know, like you're able to do that. So how does that happen?
Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like when you think about it, so so one of my boys, Ethan Sonis, he runs a soccer training like academy, or like a soccer training like sports performance type thing in Miami. He brings a bunch of guys in MLS, man. Like he just trained Minnesota United, SAT soccer.
SAT, yeah.
SAT soccer. So me and Ethan are close, man. Like we used to play together, like play against each other back in the day, like in PDL and stuff like that. So he was like, yo, bro, like and he also trained me before I was getting ready for like the MLS draft when I thought I was going. But then he was like, he's in Manchester and he's like, yo, bro, like come to this event, network, it'll be great for Hyphenate, like find a way to get here. And then I was actually in England like a couple months before with Christian. So then I also had like I also have a friend, his name is Andrew, shout out Andrew. Like he let me like stay at his apartment for like for a week and like go to the event and stuff like that. So yeah, man. So my boy Ethan was like, come to the event. He's good friends with Zach. So like, that's how the connection kind of came.
Yeah.
And then, so I go to the event and like, I pull up with Daryl DK. So Daryl DK is like a close friend. That's how we also connected. Cause me and Daryl are close. Zach and Daryl are close. Like Zach's kind of like a big brother to Daryl. And it's like I'm really close with Daryl because when he first went to UVA on his visit, I was the one chaperoning him. So it was like Daryl was like my like
now he's playing for
and now he's playing at West Brom. Yeah,
West Brom.
So like you see how like he was like my little bro at the time. Like I was showing him around. Like it was cool. So then we just kept on like our relationship ever since. Like Daryl stayed at my house for a weekend. Like we chilled together so many times. So we're close. We also pulled up with another one of our teammates from UVA, Simeon, and Matt Olasunde, who's my close friend from residency and stuff. He plays in the championship, in the English championship over there in Manchester. He used to play for Manchester United, and then now he's playing in the championship. So I just stayed at his apartment for the weekend. We went together. So it was dope. So like I show up to the event and like I meet Zach and I'm like, yo, what's up, man? I love what you're doing. He's like, yo, bro, like I heard a lot about you already. So it's like we already like, you know, like like people already knew. So, and I have so many crazy stories. Like I remember I was in Miami, like for Art Basel, for example, and like I was eating dinner and like I was in the bathroom, like about to like use the bathroom. Sebastian Leget's just standing right in front of me. I'm like, yo, Sebastian, what's good? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm friends with Christian. These guys like, yo, like he's like, yo, bro, I seen you before. He's like, yo, what's good, bro? So like got his number, like we stay in touch. So it's like, you know, like it's just like it's just so easy like that. Like it's like once I knew all of them from like a young age, it was like we always, and it wasn't even just like, think about it. I didn't know where they're going to end up. Like, I didn't know Christian was going to end up where he was going to be. I didn't know where Tyler was going to end up. Tyler Adams could have signed with Red Bull too, and we never heard of him again. So it was like, nobody knew where these guys were going to end up. But like, I was just a guy who just always stayed in touch with everybody and made sure everybody was good. Like, you know, like I remember, for example, I have a story. Christian just signed for Dortmund. He couldn't play any games because like they had to clear him, like international transfer clearance. He wasn't playing games. And like, I was at Philadelphia Union Academy and it was like my U18 year. And I just started like training with like the USL team, Bethlehem Steel. And like, I see a FaceTime and it's just Christian out of nowhere. He's like, yo, what's up, bro? Like we were just catching up. He was just at Dortmund. He wasn't playing games yet. He was kind of lonely, like, cause like, bro, he didn't know German. They didn't speak English at the school. So like
tough.
And like, we just had a good conversation, bro, for like 30 minutes, like 35, 40 minutes, just catching up. And like, that's like me and Christian just always was just like that. Like we were roommates at ID2, like when we were 14. So it's like, we knew each other from we were young. And like, we've always just kind of supported each other from there. Like, so we've known, so it's like, I never knew that these guys were going to end up where they are, but it just so happened that these guys have just transcended the game in American soccer to another level. And like, I could kind of help that in a way. So
there's a larger lesson to be learned here, which is, you know, if you're nice to people, you aren't nice just to the superstars. You're just nice to people. Sometimes they become these people in high places, right? You don't know as a 13 or 14-year-old or 18 or 19 or 20, but people develop. And if you're nice to them on the way up, that relationships will stick because they'll remember, hey, this guy was cool when I was not a superstar. He wasn't, he's not one of these pilot fish hanging around me now that I'm a big whale. He was there when I was, just a regular soccer player.
Yeah, like I was there. Like so everybody kind of knows me from that. And it's like just being a good person, like you just kind of just network and meet the whole team. So it's like, for example, like I remember one time, like I just woke up and like Chris Richards just followed me and I was like, oh snap. And like, like I just messaged him like, yo, bro, like I see what you're doing I think he was just coming up at Byron. So I was like, and he's like, yo, bro, like I appreciate you. Like I see you like you hanging out with the team, like you're a cool dude. So like, he's just like, just wanted to show love. So it's like, that's kind of just how I just built the relationships with everyone. It's either I played with them or like, they are like, yo, Raheem's a cool dude. Like he has opportunities. He's doing good things. So like, they kind of want to help with that.
Yeah. Have you ever had any thoughts about like going into sports marketing, or like you're going out and you founded Hyphenate Creative Co on your own? That's your own personal entrepreneurial endeavor, which, I'm hyped to see what happens with it. But have you had any companies or agencies or brands approach you of like, hey, you're someone who we want on your team? Because I mean, I know my sister Madison, who cooked for you, Madison.
Yeah, she's plugged in too.
She's plugged in. Yeah,
she's plugged in.
Yes.
She know Dame, right? She know Dame.
Yeah, she knows a lot of people. She's helped us get some guests on the show. But Madison did sports marketing for a long time at Adidas, now is an agent at Wasserman, and she's
at
very
Wasserman.
She's now with Wasserman. And so, a lot of her role is being well connected and working these relationships with star athletes and brands. And so, you kind of occupy a similar space. Have you ever had any, thought about going into managing players or working for an agency, or are you just full on like, I'm going to do Hyphenate Creative Co and that's going to be,
I've definitely got offers in the talks like to do like marketing and stuff for companies and stuff. But like for me, it's like I also want to continue to do what I'm doing like with Hyphenate and like how it represents my cousin and mental health and doing that networking thing. So it's like for me, it's like I want to be in a position where like I want to do that brand marketing and stuff, but I also want to make sure that I could do my things to help boost the culture. Like I feel like Hyphenate is a thing for the culture of soccer itself. Like that's my thing where it's like, look, we could do things with this. Like we could collaborate, we could do things like that. But like, I want to make sure Hyphenate is going, because that's more for like building the game from events or like even doing like interviews or like media stuff like that. So like all these ideas that I have to like expand and grow the game and hopefully grow it into a space where it's like, it's not even just soccer anymore. Like you're in, because there's so many athletes from so many different like pathways. And it's like expanding it to like, like even like eventually like expanding it to people who aren't even in sports, who like maybe even work in like the field and stuff like that. So it's like I want to expand a lot of things with Hyphenate, but I want to make sure if I'm going to take a marketing position that it's going to be like I could create, like keep on having my ideas and my creativity.
Yeah. That's an outlet for you to be able to do projects that you are passionate about and you feel have value and can add to the culture. And I mean, I respect that a ton. That's that's one of the reasons we have the podcast. That's one of the reasons we have people on Mars. Those are outlets. Those are things where us are able to express ourselves and control, what we're doing. We
control
are
the narrative.
Our own company. Yeah. And so I very much respect that. As a small business owner myself, I think the more small businesses out there, the better. I think there's a lot of power to doing things on your own and creating something from nothing. And I'm very confident that you're going to be able to build something that's going to impact the culture.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, man. So like we've been growing. We're looking forward to this event that we're planning for June 18th in Miami. We're trying to have a lot of the guys from like the European based clubs. So like, for example, after the game yesterday, trying to get those, like, you know, trying to talk to like
Yeah.
Zach and stuff, trying to get his collection in there. Like, you know, so we're planning like this exclusive like invitation kind of drop. So it's like sending those goes out, you know, kind of like personal things. And like, we're really just trying to make an impact. Cause it's like the way we see it is like, if we could get some of the biggest people in the soccer culture to come together for one cause, a cause that like all of us go through, which is mental health, why not? Like
That
like,
will make an
why not
impact.
have that impact? Like,
Yeah.
everybody goes through it. Like, you don't think Christian goes through his moments? Like, Tyler, these guys are human beings. Like, a lot of people see them from the peripheral perspective. I see it from the perspective of like, look, like, I've been with them in tough moments, and I'm like, yo, like, you're gonna be good. So it's like, those guys, like, they go through hard things. They go through a lot of struggles, a lot of things that people don't see off the field. And like, Max, you even know that from yourself too, of being a professional soccer player, how much it's like, oh, like, he's doing this on the
It's an
field, blah blah blah.
iceberg, bro.
Who
It's an
knows
iceberg.
who knows what's on your mind that day? Who knows what's going on in your family? Like,
You
things
only
like
see,
that.
yeah,
Like,
you only see 10%. The other 90% of all the real shit that's happening,
yeah.
nobody sees. So yeah, and you being in these spaces, you are able to see the realities, and you have been an athlete and you know what it's like. You spent time with these athletes. So to be able to bring these people together to, you know, bring topics like mental health to the forefront, that is what is going to move the needle, you know, as much as, and, you know, even just us having this conversation on a podcast, the more open we are about subjects like that, people like yourself, you know, bringing people with huge audiences and, you know, people who the culture will listen to is something that's really powerful, you know? And so I commend you for that. And I think you're going to be doing some really great things with these events.
Your awareness about mental health issues, Raheem, did that exist before the death of Kobe, or was it really brought to the forefront in your kind of psyche?
I feel like
seeing what your cousin went through.
I feel like my mental health struggles before that were more like soccer related. It was more like being down of like, because you weren't playing, you weren't getting minutes like that, you know, because I was at Philadelphia Union. So you got to remember, like, this is a very competitive time. You got Austin Trusty, Mark McKenzie, Anthony Fontana, Brendan Aronson waiting in the wings. Like, it's very competitive. So it's like everybody knows that you're trying to make the USL team or like sign a homegrown contract, because it's like, it's a very competitive environment. So when you're not playing and like you're away from home, like I wasn't with my family. I was all the way up in Philadelphia with like a house family, like a host family. So it's like, you're really down when you're not playing. And like, and you see a lot of kids that like, they go through these things too, man, in the academy as well. Like, and then you see them and they develop and they actually make it. And it also shows like the progression of soccer, how it's so different. Like, I remember, for example, like Khalil El-Medkar, who plays on FC Dallas, like, he never played a minute at the Union Academy. I couldn't imagine what he was going through mentally. And now he's in MLS. So it's like, it's so hard to judge the talent of players and their trajectory and like how, mental health, how that factors into their performance. Cause you're 16, 17,
it's a piece of
like what? Like the competitive age group at that age, it's like 16, 17, my mind was completely different. Like, I wasn't thinking like that. So it's like, for me, like I always had, I knew like I had some mental, like I went through some mental battles, but like I kind of persevered and like I kept on pushing and I had a mental resilience. But I feel like my cousin passing away, like that made me kind of reflect a lot. Like that one kind of was like, yo, like I need to like take a step back and actually think about my mental health from like a perspective of like, look, I need to prioritize myself, because it's like, if I don't slow down or anything, like it could I could go into a dark place. Cause like, I remember like when he passed away, like, you know, I was down. Like I remember like I was down, I was in a dark place. Like you just don't get out of bed. Like it's hard for you to get out of bed. And it was just hard. There was hard days. And like, I feel like the event and bringing people together really made that mental health aspect of me kind of just grow. And then I had the event and I was looking forward to that. And then Terrell ended up going to like was at Christian's house. And Christian was like, yeah, man, like come chill with us for like a month, man. And like, and just be with us, be in the culture, the UK culture, and just kind of see what I'm doing like day to day. So like I literally lived with like Christian and Terrell for like a month in Christian's like house. And like, it was an amazing experience for me, bro. Like, think about it. Like I was exposed to like seeing like all these things and the whole culture and like the UK culture and like just getting all these ideas and creativity to bring back home. I felt like for me, it was kind of like my thing. Like I was just soaking up everything I could get to bring it back home. Cause I was like, yo, I'm going to use this opportunity to expand the culture, but I'm also here with my brothers, man. Like we're all having a good time.
Enjoy it.
We're just 3 Americans in the UK, just experiencing it, having a good time. So it was like, I'm here with my bros having a great time, and I'm learning, and I'm soaking everything in, a different culture. Like it was just perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah. Seeing the photos of you guys out there, I was like, damn. And some of your Snapchats, I was like, damn, I can only imagine what these fools are doing right now.
Man.
But okay, we've set the table here to, we're gonna promo your event coming up, but I'm really excited to see what this next phase is like for you, because I do really think you have the ability to change the culture and to impact the culture. And you're a one of a kind guy, bro. Like I'm glad that we got to have this conversation. I got to learn so much about what makes you, and got to catch up a little bit. And like I said, I'm really excited to see this next phase, because I do think you are great at it, and it's something that you will excel in. And the fact that you have recognized that and are already like going in and starting your own thing, and like doing, like, something that we've talked with guests about is just doing and starting. And sometimes that's the hardest part, is like, you have these ideas, you think about it, but it's like, nah, you're executing. You are having these events, you are starting a company. Like you have these things where you're not just talking about them, thinking about them, but you're doing them. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially at your age. And so, we were in your corner before, but I'm even more in your corner now, and I'm excited to watch this unfold. But we do have an ending segment for the show. I don't know if you've listened to any before, but it's called What Are You Eating, Reading, Preaching, and Plugging. Okay. First one is, what are you? So it's just like some quick little questions. And all right, cool. First one, what are you eating? Is there anything that you're chefing up in the kitchen, or something out there in Florida that you want to share? A culinary item that you want to highlight for our guests?
What's the Tampa Bay known for?
Or what are you
seafood?
I mean, or he's got Jamaican roots, Canadian.
Let me. I'm gonna take it back to the islands, because it's gonna be Jamaican food for sure, man. Like ackee and saltfish, like it's like our traditional fruit, like the ackee plant, and like it's poisonous if you're eating raw, but like when you cook it and like you season it up, it's delicious. So a plate of ackee and saltfish with some dumplings.
Oh my God.
I'm right.
Boy, that really brings out the Jamaican accent.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna need to try this. Is
that something that you cook, or is that something that mom or dad or grandma?
Oh, nah. Definitely. I have to come to mom's for that one. She's killing it. But for me personally, I could cook a little steak with some fries. I've been whipping up some spaghettis lately. Yeah, steak avec frites. Yeah, some spaghetti. So like, what else? I be making some turkey burgers. I try to stay in shape, because I don't play anymore. To keep up with these young guns, I gotta be careful on the diet. You feel me?
What do you put on top of that spaghetti? What kind of sauce? What are we talking here?
Sometimes I like a little vodka. A little vodka got a little taste on it.
Sure.
Or I keep it simple though. I like the tomato garlic, a real typical US, typical soccer player diet. Just some pasta.
Do you eat healthy generally? Are you a healthy eater? Or
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely healthy. I don't touch McDonald's, like never. I don't touch any like fried.
That's one of our big sponsors, by the way.
No, we're sponsored by Cafe Fanny Granola, the best granola.
Yes, listen. Acai bowls, fresh kitchen, fresh clean food. That's me. I love it.
Okay. So we got the I'm not even gonna try and pronounce the fish, but the sawfish.
Ackee, like ackee and saltfish.
Okay. Yeah. Got that. Moving on. What are you reading? Is there anything you're reading? Any article, something, some text you want to highlight? Or something that's on your like, I want to read this.
I haven't really been reading, but I've been
honestly
listening count.
Bro.
Like
listen.
I've been listening. I've been listening a lot. This is random, but I listen to it. I don't know if you know who Dame Dash is.
Yeah.
So he kind of like preaches about being your own boss and like and like believing in your
Yeah, he's
culture and expanding the
a
culture.
big
Like
entrepreneur.
he seems kind of like brash, but like he's a big entrepreneur and talks about believing yourself and really just expanding the culture of what you want to do and breaking barriers. So like I've really been listening to a lot of him. Like a lot of people might think of him as like too excessive sometimes, but like I take it for like kind of what he's actually saying, like the deeper meaning of what he's saying, like beyond all like the show. It's like he's talking about being your own boss and like empowering others and doing things like that. And I think of myself and I'm like, look, I'm in a position where like like people listen to what I would say. I have an influence on people. So it's like for me, it's like, what's that influence that I have and what could I do to like, what influence do I have that I could use to like do what I want to do, whether it's like building the game or like building the culture and stuff like that. So I kind of like listen to him and listen to that entrepreneurial kind of inspiration.
Yeah. I mean, bro, if you're gonna break any barriers or do something that's different or hasn't been done before, like it's gonna sound crazy at times because and you have to have that self-belief to do something that there's no blueprint to doing, you know?
Exactly.
So you know, that's a good one. Okay, eating, reading, what are you preaching? This is like words of wisdom, any sort of motto. If you were to leave the guest with just, you know, some words, a motto, something, what would you be preaching?
I think my motto is sometimes it's okay to be a little bit selfish. And my motto for that is that sometimes it's okay to prioritize yourself first. For me, for example, I know I'm such a giving person and how much I could give to the world and from an artistic view, from a sports view, from a culture view. But sometimes I recognize, I need to take a step back, need to like mentally make myself like good and then keep on spreading that joy. Cause it's like, sometimes it's like sometimes you need to take a step back and just focus on yourself and put yourself first. Cause like, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of people around, there's a lot of people you got to talk to. You're talking about their problems and stuff. Cause I'm a person who's like, I love to like stay in touch. Like I'm always staying in touch with you, seeing how life's going, see how people are doing. But sometimes I need to like check on myself and be like, yo, Raheem, are you good? Are you okay? So it's like,
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
We could honestly have our own podcast just talking about like mental health shit.
Well, am I out?
No, I'm just saying like we could have a whole episode.
Yeah.
Raheem.
Dad, come on.
Well,
you will never be replaced. No, but just like
he's kind of angling in here.
No,
my territory.
No, you'll forever be
heck no. Nah, nothing like
I'm
that.
giving you a hard time. Come on, guys.
No.
But yeah,
I was just saying like what you said I think is really important in that, you know, similarly myself, like if I'll go to some sort of gathering with friends, family, like I'll have a lot of energy and like I'll want to give a lot to that event. Cause like you said, you recognize you have something inside of you that you can give a lot. You can give a lot of energy and provide something. And so, you know, I'll do the same thing. And then I'll get home and I'm just like, I'm exhausted. Like I just gave so much. And like, now I'm like suffering because I'm just like, mentally, emotionally drained, you know? And so it is important to, at times, you got to be selfish and protect your mental health because for you to have that same energy, you're going to need to be your best self, you know? So like after I come home from that thing, I can't just go off to something else and be all, you know, it's like, you got to prioritize yourself. Then you got to refuel and recharge because at the end of the day, you're going to be the best for others when you're the best to yourself.
I 100% believe in a social battery. Like there literally is like,
oh yeah,
there 100%. Like 100%. Sometimes like, especially me, like I have so much energy, like people who I know who I am. So they introduce me and like, I'll go to an event and like, I'll end up just meeting everybody. Cause like, I'll have a connection to everybody and just knowing everyone. So it's like, for example, like even at the US game yesterday, like I drove to the game with like Tyler's family. Then I saw Zach's family from like Manchester. We're all sitting in the stands together and like going to the hotel and like seeing Christian, all those guys. So like I'm around the whole culture. But then it's like after sometimes you just like, you need to be like, all right, like I need to take time for myself. I need to breathe. Like I just did all this networking. Like
you got to recharge the batteries.
Recharge the batteries for sure.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Okay. Last one. What do you plug in? So this is, you know, what do you want to promote? What do you want to plug, like promote? Like you could promote Hyphenate, what, like something you would just want to, you know, show some love to.
The Marathon Minute audience wants to know what they should be attuned to. What should they plug into?
Oh my gosh. First of all, shout out Marathon Minute Podcast for just putting so many people on, so many entrepreneurs, CEOs, athletes, anybody, creatives. You guys are just doing it, man, and killing it. And I love it. I love the dedication. I love how even when you come out with a podcast, it might not get the views that you want and how frustrating that could be. But now it's like you see it now and you see the progression and you see this podcast growing and growing and the numbers growing. So first off, shout out Marathon Minute and you guys giving me the opportunity to speak today. Because I don't really have the platform. I'm kind of behind the scenes in a way. So it's like to get the platform to speak. I appreciate that.
That's what we're here for. We're here to give people platforms that deserve a platform. And you are for sure one of those people.
I want to shout out. So shout out to my man, Mink. His art is coming up. It's on the way, man. He's been working very, very hard. I want to shout out.
Where can people find his art?
People can find his art through me. So like actually, if you message me at Raheemovich at hyphenate you could get all your art needs. He's doing no commissions right now, but feel free to buy them at the show on June 18th. I want to shout out actually the US national team, Canadian national team, both my countries for qualifying for the world. Well, the US
almost.
Yeah, almost, but Canada, especially Canada. I want to shout out the Canadian soccer culture, man, because I'm close to those guys. Kamal Miller, Tajon Buchanan, Mark Anthony Kay, even met like Alfonso Davies, like he signed my mom's like jersey at a game. So like all those guys, and I met him in person. So it's like Canada just coming up. Shout out the US. Hopefully they can continue to do their thing. I mean, have all those guys. And then man, shout out to just mental health, positivity, growth, and just supporting each other's dreams and our aspirations. I love it. I love how your brand and stuff was able to be at my show. Now I'm on your show. So it's like, your house is my house, like I'm your guest now. You're going to be my guest. So it's perfect, man. So I'm just loving the way these relationships are developing and I'm just loving life, man. So thank you guys so much.
Hey, thank you, bro.
Yeah. Hey, I checked out Mink's work. I like it a lot. It's really happy, colorful, big paintings, and he's got nice. I like what he does.
Yeah, what I like about him is like a lot of artists, they're good, but they don't have like a direction. So I feel like when at first he didn't know what his like direction is, what's gonna separate you from all the other artists. I was like, bro, your art's good, but like you don't have anything that's gonna separate you. So then he started like dig kind of deeper, and like found something within himself to like create a character called like Mink. And like Mink basically goes on all the adventures that like he's never ever done before. Like, so me, like I'm traveling all the time. I'm doing all these things. Like he's never done that travel before. Like he's lived in Florida his whole life. So it's kind of like the adventures of like him in like an alternate universe in a way. And like I like his creative standpoint of creating that character Mink and like where he's going with that. So he kind of has like his angle, which kind of separates himself from other artists. So I'm excited to see what he's working on for sure.
Yeah. That's dope.
So June 18th in Miami.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look, we've talked to a lot of people, and a common theme is we've had a lot of these young folks, which you're young from my perspective. You're young. You're probably young from your perspective.
Yeah.
We've had these amazing folks who are creatives or gone into business, and have take these very courageous. I keep on telling Max this. I am blown away by our guests. Because I was always kind of a, undergraduate school to law school to law firm. I never deviated from a kind of one path. And I have a lot of respect for these young folks who have a lot of courage to do what their calling is, which, and they're starting from the ground floor with very little experience, with, not much of a foundation, and they go for it. I love that. That to me is, you have one life to live, right? We don't have a dress rehearsal and then we do it right. Just
absolutely.
And so I have a lot of respect for what you're doing, Raheem. And
thank you so much.
I'm an admirer. I love your personality. Your personality is great, but
I appreciate it. Thank you.
But I also like what you're doing, which is very cool. Very cool.
I appreciate it, man. And it's like, I love it because it's like the type of people that I get to bring together. And it's like, I feel like people come into your life for a reason. Like, look, like Max, you came into my life for a reason. Like, there's a reason why Christian or Tyler and everybody's in my life for a reason. It's like, what could I do with all these people and all these relations to do something that's like greater than ourselves? And I feel like my impact on this world, like I always wanted to have an impact on this world somewhat, some way. Like if it wasn't going to be as the best soccer player ever, it's going to be like, look, I'm going to be the best person for like mental health advocacy, or like be the biggest person for just making sure that people network and recognize that they could get opportunities by just using the people around them, really. And then
relationships.
and like I know a lot of people like that, they don't know their direction or where they want to go. Like you go to school at 18, you go to college, and it's like sometimes you don't even know what you want to do, and it's like just kind of like sometimes it's the best thing to do is just network and use the people around you, man. Like the world is so endless, and like we live in a day and age where like we're on our phones constantly 24/7, so that connection, that interpersonal connection that you get with people just declines by the day, man. And it's like I come from a time where it's like back then, like we didn't really have Instagram or phones like that, so it's like these relationships are true like roots up relationships. So it's like how could I use that to impact the greater good on the world? So that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you're doing it. Yeah, we can like cut the pod stuff.